Okay, so afterwards, like, he was really too tired of Hollywood, banging his head, trying to make a project not butchered by the studios. So he ended up leaving US and coming to Europe, where he basically had his last part of his career entirely from Europe. And I think I have just another piece of interview when he talks about his career.
I think I made essentially a mistake in staying in movies because it's the mistake I can't regret, because it's like saying I shouldn't have stayed married to that woman, but I did because I love her. I would have been more successful if I'd left movies immediately. Stayed in the theater, gone into politics, written anything. I've wasted the greater part of my life looking for money and trying to get along, trying to make my work from this terribly expensive paint box, which is a movie. Yeah. And I've spent too much energy on things that have nothing to do with making a movie. It's about 2% movie making and 98% hustling. It's no way to spend a life.
Okay, yeah, so the first movie he made in Europe was The Trial, that we've shown in 2 days ago. The DOP, I noted the DOP, so the director of photography, he's Edmond Richard. I thought first he was Edmond Richard, but finally no, he's Edmond Richard. He's a great French, and who works also in again with Orson Welles at Chimes of Midnight, so the next one, and also with Louis Buñuel. So again, nice names. There's a clip of The Trial here.
You don't seriously believe you can defend yourself?
For those who missed it.
Defend myself or defy you?
Defy the court?
All of you. What's this?
We use these visual aids.
Lectures and sermons.
Yes, how your particular delusion is described in the writings which preface the law. Before the law, there stands a guard.
A man comes from the country seeking admittance to the law, but the guard cannot admit him. Can the man hope to enter at a later time?
I've heard it before. We've all heard it. The man is dying of old age, still waiting there. And just at the end, the guard tells him that the door was meant for him, only for him.
The guard tells him no one could enter this door. And now, I'm going to close it.
Some commentators have pointed out that the man came to the door of his own free will.
And we're supposed to swallow all that? It's all true?
We needn't accept everything as true, only as necessary.
God, what a miserable conclusion. It turns lying into a universal principle.
By attempting to defy the court by such an obviously mad gesture, you hope to plead insanity? You've laid some foundation for that claim by appearing to believe yourself the victim of some kind of conspiracy.
That's a symptom of lunacy, isn't it?
Delusions of persecution.
Delusions?
Well,
I don't pretend to be a martyr, no.
Not even a victim of society?
I am a member of society.
I know it's very nice to look out of our window in our comfortable home and see the policemen there protecting our home. We should be grateful for the policemen, but I think we should be grateful, too, for the laws which protect us against the policemen. There are those laws, you know, and they're quite different than the police regulations. But the regulations do pile up. Forms keep coming in. We keep being asked to state our grandmother's father's name in block letters and to say whether we propose to overthrow the government in triplicate, why, and all that sort of thing. But you see, the bureaucrat, I'm including the bureaucrat with the police as part of one great big monstrous thing, the bureaucrat is really like a blackmailer. You can never pay him off. The more you give him, the more he'll demand. If you fill in one form, he'll give you 10. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, so that was a bit his, I think, partly why he chose The Trial as in the movie when he had the choice, actually. Yeah. Anthony Perkins plays Joseph K. And that's a bit his view about, so he had not only a lot of issues with the studios, but with the bureaucracy in general. And yeah, I don't know if you like bureaucrats and filling papers, but I sense something quite, I can project myself with this kind of view. Yeah, and the Kafkaian system that he also described. You can feel the same. We had also a presentation about Brazil by Terry Gilliam, and the affiliation with the trial is very obvious, actually. I think there's another one.
I don't know if this is a meaningful point, but when you were speaking at the beginning of the picture, you are not in character as Hassler. You are playing the voice of Orson Welles, as you are playing at the end of the picture.
Now, that's the magician. I'm tricking the audience into believing that that's a point of view. So that in a certain atmosphere, because that kind of trickery is legitimate, I think, I want the audience to feel the doom into which Kay is born, and to believe that it is there. It's the voice of the devil. But it's not my voice. It's not my dream.
Yeah, so he's, we're reaching the end. Don't, it won't be that long afterwards. Chimes at Midnight, so that's a 1966 movie. It's a mix, basically the story is a mix of, it's around the character of Falstaff, which appears in several Shakespeare plays. So that's a mix of 3 or 4 Shakespearean plays that he has put in together in one story. He has made before some theater play a bit on the same theme in Broadway years before, in '39. About Falstaff, he said that the core of the story was the betrayal of friendship, and it's again since it's Shakespeare, it's about power and humanity, how to have humanity in a environment where kings have absolute power and things like that. I've selected for this one battle scene. I think that's the only battle scene he ever filmed, but this one I think is quite impressive. So let's see that. Just before we start, Jeanne Moreau, she appeared in quite a few of his movies, she was in The Trial, in this one, and in I think 1 or 2 others later on. You won't see his face, and he's a bit of a strange character who's round like fat and all. So again, playing with his own image. And he has a bit of a funny part in the middle of a battle. That's during the shooting. Nice. That's how they could step on the horses, because it was so heavy they couldn't step in by themselves. Actually, like that's really about the editing in that sequence, because even apparently, like he shot again long shot, but he felt later on that for a battle scene, like with a lot of actions and all, like it was better to cut and put pieces together of very short lengths to give this such a dynamic impression. Yes, then as I said before, like there's just a short clip of interview where he had a question whether he had to show something to a mass audience, and that's what he replied.
So that people will...
There's a missing word here on between what I feel and to a mass audience. Obligation. I would love to have a mass audience. You're looking at a man who's been searching for a mass audience. And if I had one, I'd be obliged. That's all I can say.
So continuing his, that's almost his last movie. That's in The Immortal Story. So it was a production for the French television in 1968, again with Jeanne Moreau. It was an adaptation of a writer he really liked a lot. It's Karen Blixen. There's a completely different style. That's his first movie in color. So we can have a quick clip of it.
He's young, and Levinsky, he's full of the juices of life. He has blood in him. I suppose he's got tears. He longs and yearns for the things which dissolve people.
He's actually that's his last movie, really. It's a kind of experimentation. It's called F for Fake. It's a story about, as you say, as it's the title suggests, like it's about what is the truth in the picture and what is fake. He had a long relation with a musician and magicians. He claimed that he got classes from Harry Houdini, who was really a famous magician in the 1930s, I think, in the US. And so here he questioned, like it's very interesting movie that I really encourage you to watch. It's about what is the nature of the movie, the images and the sound that we see. Is it really the truth, or what part of truth is in there? It's a pretty complex script, so I won't go through that. But for that I selected in it, like there's a wonderful piece, I think, of very simple cinema where he talks about something like eternity, nothing less than that.
Now this has been standing here for centuries. The premier work of man, perhaps, in the whole Western world. And it's without a signature. Chartres. A celebration to God's glory and to the dignity of man. Well, all that's left, most artists seem to feel these days, is man. Naked. Poor, forked radish. There aren't any celebrations. Ours, the scientists keep telling us, is a universe which is disposable. You know, it might be just this one anonymous glory of all things. This rich stone forest, this epic chant, this gaiety, this grand choiring shout of affirmation, which we choose when all our cities are dust, to stand intact, to mark where we have been, to testify to what we had it in us to accomplish. Our works in stone, in paint, in print are spared, some of them for a few decades or a millennium or two, but everything must finally fall in war or wear away into the ultimate and universal ash. The triumphs and the frauds, the treasures and the fakes, a fact of life. We're going to die. Be of good heart. Cry the dead artists out of the living past. Our songs will all be silenced. But what of it? Go on singing. Maybe a man's name doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah, I don't know if you got the word, but it's very poetic, of course, and with the voice that he has is quite magical, I think. And finally, what happened is that somebody, it's mostly Peter Bogdanovich, I talked a bit about him before, so his biographer and himself like quite a brilliant movie director. They put together one of project of that Welles could not finish, so it's The Other Side of the Wind. It's really an experimental movie that's quite strange to watch, very interesting, definitely. It's played also, okay, there's Dennis Hopper, as you can see, there's John Huston, famous director, and they all play in this movie for Orson Welles. I just selected the last image. It's the whole movie is interesting. There is Oja Kodar, so his partner for the 20 or 25 years from there, and he loved also to film her in all kind of positions. We can watch a bit the end of this. It's interesting. That's her.
Who knows? Maybe you can stare too hard at something, huh? Drain out the virtue, suck out the living juice. You shoot the great places and the pretty people. All those girls and boys. Shoot them dead.
That was the voice of John Huston. And it ends up like so that his whole filmography ends up on this cinema screen, showing one of his movies. That's a bit some food for thought, maybe. And finally, just this time it's really the last one. Just last clip of interview.
Ask anybody of my age what they feel about themselves when they're young. I think you'll get a very waffly answer. I think of myself of having been an awfully nice fellow then. And I may have blacked out, whole sections of dreadful behavior, but I've genuinely blocked them out. I don't remember them. I just see myself as angelically moving from one show to another.
I think I did pretty well under the circumstances.
I am going to make King Lear and a picture called The Dreamers. And I'll go on saying that until I don't. But it looks as though it's going to happen, but who knows? I've had a wonderful, fascinating life. I can't complain. I'm the luckiest person I know. And I'd rather be remembered as a good guy than as a difficult genius.
Yeah, he's a very inspiring character somehow. And I said, when I really love independent movies. And so all his career, like, he met so many important people, like from Roosevelt. He even claimed that he met Adolf Hitler. I'm not sure, but and all those brilliant people, and himself, I think he was really a brilliant artist, uncompromising, and it attracted so much difficulty in his life, professional and personal life. But he opened so many doors for the next, like the independent production out of the studio system. Like, he helped break, I think, this system of business and production and like pre-made, tasteless movies, and so much creativity and all. So it was really a pleasure to work on that presentation and share it with you, definitely. But if you... I talk too much.
Was it your choice to name your master class the Genius of Orson Welles? Because genius is a big word about when we talk about somebody. And okay.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Like, as you said, really at the beginning, like, he was tagged as one prodigy child, really from his career, and now, like, at the end, like, he just said, like, it's better to be remembered just as a nice guy than a difficult genius. And all of his career, like, he was tagged as genius and difficult. You speak with, I just asked Malenka even yesterday, and what she remembers about Orson Welles is that but he threatened people. Like, he's not somebody who is easy to deal with, and so he kept, I think it's because of Citizen Kane and what this really harsh response from the system just to destroy somebody who's we can call maverick sometimes, like somebody who's independent thinker basically, an independent creator. He paid a high price for that. Now, like a genius, like for example, like this Citizen Kane, like the best movie ever made. Like, this doesn't make sense. Of course, there's not one single best movie ever made. It depends on whatever parameter you want to put it in that thing to obtain it. But so was he genius? Honestly, I don't know. But I think he was an exceptional man.
Yeah. Would you say that there's an equivalent contemporary director in today's age and time?
Gosh, yeah, that's a very good question. Like, what guys you think? Independent, really, with the independent spirit, and as creative as that. I think everybody's unique somehow, and you won't never have another characters like that. But there are lots of very interesting work directors. Yeah, Kubrick. I mean, yeah, there are few directors who really stand up. Like there's Mr. Kurosawa, who is there. There's Kubrick for me. There's Tarkovsky, who is like an absolute master for me. And it's completely different characters, you know. Robert Bresson is incredible master of the art for me also. And recently, yes, definitely in Iranian cinema, there's some the amazing productions, independent American or movies. It's a long list, but.
But here we can see a long span of a long career. In
Yeah.
cinema, we will see only a few films maybe, and here we see.
And also he's playing most of the movies. Yeah. He's directing and playing. So that's, for me, it's quite unique. There is not other directors who are playing like him in the same in every movies. And also he has this intention from theater about the movement of the characters, and also the attention of the sound, and the attention and attention of the light. And all references of German expressionism, black and white cinema. When you show it was in a sort of when he was falling, it was in sort of, I don't remember the name of the film. You make an extract of this Lady from Shanghai. It looked like the house of Dr. Mabuse or something like that. Huh? It looks like it's very close of the way of using the German cinema. Caligari, yeah.
Mabuse was Fritz Lang.
Yeah, that's Fritz Lang.
Yeah, I agree. Who disagrees? And you know, I think this is always interesting to know a bit about this kind of people. Like first, like when you see, like it's even if it's all like for many people, like starting a career in the 30s, he died in 85. But he left like his legacy is in those 13 movies that we've seen clips in many things, in actors and all. But more than that, even like that's why also I put some interviews or masterclass. Like this is not a masterclass, or he's the master, not me. Like please, but in that audience that we've seen, like it was shot like when he was a bit old, like in the 80s. Like there were actually a lot of. It was people from the actors and directors from the industry, movie industry, and through this kind of thing and studies and all, like basically a lot of people you could see in his room as young that they had incredible career as actor, director, and everything. So he was there. He transmitted in that kind of thing like so many messages. I think about technicalities, but also about what is the role of an artist and the difficulties and so on and so forth.
Does he get some problem with McCarthyism? Does he get some problem with McCarthyism? You don't know?
I didn't read really. As I said before, like during Citizen Kane, like he had an FBI even inquiry against him for communism, which was like complete nonsense. He was politically known as a friend of the Democrats, so Roosevelt and so on and so forth. He really hated, for example, the Reagan or the Nixon and the Reagan administration. But with the McCarthyism, no, I don't think so. Yeah, about that scene in the trial, so with all the typewriters, like it was shot in Prague, so where it was relatively cheap to hire people at that time. Yeah, and I read there was some close to 1,000 typewriters and people, so they really did it like in grand. about the budget, like he claimed that almost all of his films, as I said, like they were really fit in the budget and all. He had a lot of personal projects that finally he could realize, very few of them. For example, F for Fake, like probably is one of them. On those, he took really crazy amount of time, like even this Don Quixote, it was supposed to be shot with his daughter, and then 18 years later, his daughter looked nowhere near who she looked like when she was 5 or 10, of course. So he was very generous. I mean, probably he was some kind of a genius, like if there is something like genius about movie making, creativity, acting eventually, but I guess what he was not good at was with money, and for example, like Kubrick was also a master of achieving, making all his projects. Kubrick mentioned that at some point that doing a project like a movie, it was just like chess, like he was a great chess player. And so you needed to have some strategy and spend your time where it's worth it. Probably Orson Welles was more romantic than that. Like he felt like it was a good movie to make. He had some messages to pass, and somehow he assumed that because he was Orson Welles, he was well known, and he had some confidence in himself, and surely he was right that he would make it an incredible movie. But the producers, the money that's needed sometimes when it can be very difficult. So probably I would say like he was a pretty bad manager. Yeah. But agreed, like it looks like everybody who worked with him was actually, it was nowhere near the imposing figure, like the guy who knows things and imposes his views about everything. Looks like he was an absolutely amazing person to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, if they knew their job, he let them get on with it.
Yeah, he said that he let people do their job. Sometimes they made mistakes and all. He was there to discuss with them, to make people in good situation, to make the best out of the situation. But money-wise and production-wise, like, yeah. Okay, thank you very much.